much have you matured as a football player since you arrived at Alabama?
That's a great question. I mean, I've definitely matured a lot. I've learned from a lot of great people. Coach Saban's obviously been a big part of that. Just watching him coach me and taking what he says and applying it to my life. And obviously my teammates, just learning from them and watching the older guys when I was younger. And now that I'm sort of an older guy now, just trying to set the example that I can for the younger guys.
Okay, let's go to Charlie Potter.
Hey, Mac. Just wondering what you've seen from Missouri's defense. It's going to be the first challenge of the season. Just what kind of challenges do they present you guys?
They're a really good defense. Ryan Walters, their defensive coordinator, does a great job schematically. On the back end with their cornerbacks, number 14 and number 8, they look pretty good. Obviously, they might have some guys out, but those guys on the back end look good. Number 9, Tyree Gillespie, their safety. And number 1 this year, he switched numbers, Bledsoe. He looks good in the back end. And then 32 is kind of like their workhorse of the defense. Nick Bolton looks really good. They have another good linebacker. He switched to number 11 this year. He looks good. Their defensive line's really old. I think it's all seniors up there. 78, Kobe, their nose guard, gets off the ball really well. 39, Chris Turner's an edge rusher. So they got some good guys up there. They got Trey Williams, number 0, is a defensive end who plays well. So it's really an old defense that focuses on effort, and they make a lot of effort plays. So watching them on tape, they've been really impressive, and we got to be ready to go.
Okay, we will move on to Jeff Spiegel.
Mac, after watching football several weeks and finally being able to get on the field, I know you're a guy who just has a great time playing the game. How much are you looking forward to getting out there?
Yeah, football is fun. I mean, we all want to be out there again. There's nothing better than going out on Saturdays, and playing with your best friends and playing for the coaches in the state of Alabama. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to that. I mean, I think everyone would say the same. We're all ready to play, and we're really looking forward to a great year.
Tony Tsoukalas.
Hey, Mac. I just wanted to know what's your relationship like with Bryce Young, and then also having played under Tua, how are you able to give him guidance now as with you being the starter now?
Yeah, we have a good relationship. He comes out to practice every day, and he puts his head down and works, and he does what he's supposed to do. So, as a starting quarterback, looking down and seeing him doing his job makes me feel comfortable that if he has to step in the game, he can do his job. And, being under Jalen and Tua and all that, I mean, there's a lot of things you can learn from, but really just from a leadership standpoint, just being ready to go because you never know when you're going to have to play. And I think that applies to our whole room with Paul and the walk-on quarterbacks as well, because anybody might have to play at any given moment.
We'll go with David Hale now.
Hey, Mac, you touched on this a little bit, mentioning Jalen and Tua. And look, when you're in a place like Alabama, I'm sure you realize that the first time you go out and have a few bad snaps, somebody's going to start talking about the 5-star quarterback behind you on the roster. What did you learn from seeing how Jalen and Tua manage their situation in terms of how you'll, not just how Bryce will handle being the backup, but how you'll handle being the starter?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen and Tua did it right. Whoever was in the game at the time tried to do their job to the best of their ability. And that's all you can do, really. You can't focus on everything else, the what-ifs, the this and that's. Just go out there. For me, if I'm in the game, get the ball to the right guy and let all the guys make plays and celebrate when we score and have fun. So that's all I can do, and everything else will just take care of itself.
We'll go to Mike Rodak.
Mac, John Metchis was a guy who was listed as a starter on the first depth chart yesterday, and fans don't really know quite as much about him as they do, Devontae or Jalen. Just what does he bring to your team, and how much last year did you get a chance to work with him behind the scenes?
Yeah, me and Metchie, we worked together a lot during the summer. He was here and stuff, and we got all the work we could get together. And just working with him, he's a really hard worker. Being up here late at night sometimes, he's always in here working, and to see that out of a wide receiver who maybe not get his name called as much as a guy like Smitty or Waddle, that's just promising because he's ready to go and he's ready to prove himself too. But our whole room is super talented from the wide receiver standpoint, and really any of those guys can come in and play. But I think Metchie has done a really good job.
We'll go to Stephen Smith.
And Mac, I know Coach Saban talked about Jordan Battle and what he's done in the secondary, but you came in with Daniel Wright. How have you seen his play grow?
Yeah, Daniel and I were actually roommates my freshman year, so we kind of started off with a strong bond there. He's grown a lot. Like, you can really tell that he's taken that leadership role back there, getting guys lined up, and really he's focusing on doing what he has to do now. And when he does that, he plays a lot better. But he makes plays. Like, he's a guy who, in practice, he brings that energy, and you want a guy like that in the secondary where you can hear his words, but he's also making plays and backing it up with his play. So
We'll go to James Ogletree.
Yeah, Mac. Yesterday, Smitty was talking about how he said he has just as much trust in you as he did in Tua, and I'm not trying to make any comparison there, but just as a quarterback, how much does that assure you and make your job easier knowing that you have a lot of trust in those guys and they trust you to get them the ball as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this whole game is about, is trusting your teammates and trusting your coaches. And obviously, Smitty and I have got a lot of work over the past 4 years. You know, even me being the backup, you know, a couple years ago and stuff, we still got in there and worked together. So I understand what he sees and why he does it. He's a guy that sometimes on plays, he'll tell me where the blitz is coming from. You know, so he's a guy that can see things and has played a lot of football. And I trust that he sees what I see and we're on the same page. But I think that goes along with all of our teammates. We are all kind of on the same page at this point, and we're ready to go out there and play.
We'll go back to Jeff Spiegel.
Matt, can you, I guess, talk about the challenges of playing a 10-game conference game only schedule, and whatever team survives that gauntlet, what would that say about that football team?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a 10-game SEC schedule is great. I think that it gives you a challenge every week, no matter who you're playing. You know, this week, obviously, it's Missouri, so we're focused on that. But, you know, in the long run, whoever comes out and wins all those games could go down as, like, the best team to ever play, because the SEC is the best conference in America, and if you can win all those games and prove that you're the best team, then that's pretty impressive.
Charlie Potter, a couple more.
Hey, Mac, I know you're focused on other things, but what was your reaction when you found out that you were going to be the starter to start the season?
Yeah, you know, I'm really thankful to be named that position, and I think I've earned, you know, the trust of my teammates and coaches. But like I said, we just got to keep working as a team and focus on this upcoming game, because, you know, you got to go in there and execute and do your job, and that's for everybody, not just the starting quarterback. But anybody has to be ready to play, and we all have to be ready to go for Saturday.
We'll go back to David Hale.
Mac, I'm curious if you've talked to anybody from other teams that have played so far about what the experience has been in terms of, you know, less fans in the stands or the different policies and procedures on the sidelines, just adapting to a game day situation in this environment. Have you gotten any insider advice from anybody who's already done it or from just the games you've watched?
Yeah, I mean, just watching a bunch of games, at the end of the day, the field's 100 yards long and 53 1/3 wide. So, I mean, it's football, right? We just play 11 on 11 and try and do your job every play. But, you know, there's other things that are going to go into it. It may feel a little weird at first, but when that clock starts ticking, you just go out there and play and try and be as safe as you can. But you can't really think about it too much when you're out there playing.
We'll wrap up with AP.
Hey, yes. Hey, Mac, how are you?
Good. How about you?
Oh, terrific. Survived the hurricane and the virus, both. Mac, what did you learn about yourself last year? Could be little or small. And then what contribution will Karl Tucker make?
Last year, there was a bunch of good learning experiences all around for the whole team. You know, for me, you know, just getting in there and kind of earning the trust of my teammates, showing that I can go in there and execute to the best of my ability. And there's learning experiences along the way with that. And this year, we're going to come out and really show what we've worked on. With Karl, you know, Karl is a guy that I kind of showed him around on his visit here, you know, before the coronavirus and all that started. But he's a guy that works really hard, and he makes plays, and he gets to the right spot, and he's a really powerful guy in the run game. So, like, just to have a utility guy like that is really going to help us, you know, throughout the year with an extra guy that we can throw the ball to, run behind, things like that.